I've been in the search and internet business for 17, 18 years now, and after being in the business for so long, there's been a few times in my career that I feel like I've been able to see the future. I feel like I've been able to see things that the world hasn't seen.
I have a question.
You know, that's probably a better question. I'm going to talk about technology. Okay, so that's probably a better question for Robert Campbell. So I'm going to talk about technology, and being able to see the technology and being able to see what is coming around the corner is one thing, but being able to understand how you can benefit from it, how you can get in front of it is another thing. And what I'm going to tell you today, and in the spirit of Robert Campbell, in the spirit of forecasting, I'm going to make a forecast, and I'm going to tell you how I think everybody in this room can benefit from it. My forecast is there's going to be something that's going to be the human algorithm. I don't know if that's what they'll call it, but let me explain to you. Let me give you a story, and this will come back to you. Let's say, for example, let's say that 65-year-old Grandma Lupe opens a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant. Is Grandma Lupe going to have a website? Probably not. So if you go onto Google and you search for Mexican restaurants, what are your chances of finding Grandma Lupe on Google? Zero, right? Because Grandma Lupe is probably not going to have a website. Now, on social media, like Facebook, you're likely to go on, take a picture of your food, post it on social media, but what are the chances that you're going to go on Facebook and search for Mexican restaurants? Zero. So Grandma Lupe doesn't have a chance to compete with El Torito, right? And that's a problem, because Grandma Lupe serves up some killer food, and I'd love to find it. And if Reggie goes to Grandma Lupe, takes a picture of it, puts it on Facebook, and 5 different people in this room say, I love that place, I would like to know. Okay, I think that concept is happening right now, and you're going to be able to go online, go to your social media, and have it influence the search results. Okay, so let me in order to kind of show you why and how I got there and how you can take advantage of it, I'm first going to go back a little bit and talk about PageRank. And a lot of you may already know this concept. PageRank is not named, a lot of people think it's about web pages. It's about Larry Page. He's one of the founders of Google. He came up with an algorithm. His very first patent. It was simply this: who gets the most links wins. So the big yellow dot gets the most links. He wins. Okay, now let's go back to the concept of Grandma Lupe. She's never gonna, that's gonna be El Torito's. And so when you go on using the current algorithm that Google employs in the very basic form, El Torito's is always going to win, and Google doesn't like that. But humans, if you get humans involved, now you can change that. Now you can affect that in a very interesting way. So let me pretend there's something called FriendRank. Okay, so we take the exact same thing as PageRank and we put people into it. But what's interesting now is you notice that some people don't have faces. You can now know if they're real people. See, if you go back to PageRank, all those guys at the bottom, those little green circles, how do you know if El Torito's, and nothing against El Torito's, by the way, good restaurant, right? But how do you know if El Torito's owns those little green circles? How do you know if El Torito's is buying websites? How do you know if El Torito's is paying people to link to them? You really don't. But if you add the human element, I can tell if that's really a person. I can tell if Robert Campbell's a real person, because if he is, he's going to be talking to people. People are going to put pictures of him and tag him. There's going to be a lot of easy ways to figure out if it's a human versus not. So then here's what you do next. So now I see that there's a bunch of people that aren't real people. These are fake profiles. Take them away. So if you add the human element and you can tell if it's a real person or not, now you can take away the links or the likes or whatnot, and now suddenly there's a shift. Now suddenly I got to catch up with Reggie in this example because he's got 3 links and I've got 3 links. So by adding the human element, you make the playing field fair. Okay? So now, how do we put that together? So how do we put the search engine and the PageRank together with the people? It's already happening. So this idea of me being able to tell the future is it's actually right there in front of everybody. You've probably seen this. This is Google authorship. There's a picture on there, and I did my very first search. I did short sales versus foreclosures, and this was what came up. Number 1 and number 3 are people that actually have faces. They're real people. The other thing that you might see, that little arrow going this way, it says 34 Google Plus circles. So what's Google doing there? Google's telling me that they want you to, they're going to put you at the top if you are a real person, we can verify it. And I want the world to know that if you have friends in your circles, you're also going to be at the top. So if you just read the signs right in front of you, you can see what's happening. The other thing that I take away from this is she's number 1 for short sales versus foreclosures, and she only has 34 people in their circles. Every one of you can have more than 34 people in your circles tonight by looking right around you. So we're so early in this thing that we can go and we can dominate some of these search terms. Now, you don't even have to have a website. So this is where Grandma Lupe really comes into play. This is the same search engine, the same result, short sales versus foreclosures. I scrolled to the bottom of the page. Now what happened? Jason Smith popped up and Bruce Norris popped up. Why did that happen? How interesting is that? Well, if you look at the left arrow, there's a little gray symbol of a person. Jason and Bruce are in my network. So when I typed it in, Google said, well, somebody that you know is talking about short sales versus foreclosures, and we are going to give them an advantage. So they gave these people an advantage because they put their face and they verified that they're a person, and they gave these people an advantage because they're in my circle. So it's happening right now. Then I went a little further. Now I typed in San Diego short sales because I wanted to see what would happen for specifically San Diego short sales. Now Jason is killing it. Jason went in there, he had the top 2, he's in my circle. Number 3 on this search, again, he's not in my circle, but he's verified. You see his face, that he's got authorship. So authorship pushed him to the top of the page. Here's another interesting point. At the very bottom here, you can see that's Jason as well. That's his blog, his WordPress blog. And he doesn't have authorship. So even though Jason seems like a very astute internet marketer and he's hitting some of these major words, he's missing some really easy things that he can do. So I tell you that not to pick on Jason because he's doing very well. I tell you that so that you know that there's some really simple things that even the best people are missing right now. So the opportunity is there. One other thing, the arrow on the bottom pointing shows San Diego, shows that he's in my circle too. So it's putting the different social signals in place.
How does Google actually verify that you're a real person?
They do several things. How does Google verify if you're a real person? If you never add a friend, you're probably not a real person. So it's going to be an algorithm, right? If you add 50 friends in one day, but you don't add a friend for the next 6 months, you're probably not a real person. If you never get tagged in a photo, you're probably not a real person. This is going to evolve with time. Okay, but that, by the way, is going to be the question that people are going to ask in every country, in every language in the future.
Whatever you want to keep it, you don't want to be tagged. You don't want to have a photo up there.
Well, that's another story which I specifically stayed away from the privacy discussion. It's a big discussion. I will tell you that you don't have to put your private information in. You don't have to put your birthday. You don't have to put on your private information, but the privacy discussion is a real one and a big one. We don't have time to address it fully today. So moving forward, I wanted to look at the hard money lenders to see what I would find, because I know that there's some hard money lenders in this room today, but you're not here. San Diego hard money lenders, guess who pops up? Bruce Norris. Okay, again, we all know Bruce, right? And we know that Bruce is very sophisticated. Matter of fact, he's being found because he's in my circle. And if you can see the arrow at the very bottom, it says Aaron Norris +1 it. So it's all showing the other people I know +1 it. And the other thing, the big red box I put there, because he doesn't have authorship. So as sophisticated as the Norris group is, they're not doing authorship, which is a very easy thing that they should be doing. Okay. Can I try to get through this first? If you don't mind. This is Eric Smith. This is a quote from Google. And one of the things that I've learned in my years of marketing on the internet, just do what Google tells you to do. Okay, they don't parse their words. They'll tell you exactly what you need to do. People just don't listen. Here's what Eric Smith says. Within search results, information tied to verified profiles. So first of all, the word is information. They didn't say websites. They didn't say videos. They said information. So my first example about Grandma Lupe, that was just a little post, right? That's information. So information tied to verified results. By the way, let me go back. When you saw Jason and Bruce come up on this page, Jason created a video. All Bruce did, he found an article and said, check out this article. He didn't even write anything. He didn't create anything. They don't have websites here. All of you can do this without a website. Grandma Lupe can do this without a website. So information tied to verified profiles. Verified profiles is what we're talking about. The authorship, it's about being a person, being a human, will be ranked higher than content without such verification. They're saying right there, do Google authorship and you will rank higher. Right there.
That's not Facebook.
I'm talking about Google right now. Thank you for bringing that up, because Google wants to beat Facebook at the social media game, and Facebook wants to beat Google at the search game. So both of these discussions apply to both. Okay, I'm using Google because they are clearly the leader in the search. And it says, the results most people will naturally click on those results. We've done this for clients. I have another business. We market doctors. We've seen people have their click-throughs increase by 100% and 200% in some cases. I'm not promising those type of results, but those kind of results do happen. It's amazing. It's phenomenal, because Google's trying to beat Facebook. Google is giving you an unfair advantage if you do this now early. And Facebook will give you an unfair advantage if you do this early. That's why you should do it now. And then finally, at the very end, if that wasn't clear enough, the true cost of remaining anonymous then might be irrelevance. Google's made warnings like this before, and they've said that if you break our rules, we will knock you out of our listings, and it will happen.
What about you guys? Because a lot of people don't want to be whacked with the World Wide Web, but they still want to make a profit. What about you guys?
You're right. So I'm kind of on a time limit, so we'll push the questions to the end if you guys don't mind. Agent rank. So agent rank is where the social media and search results come together. Agent rank is Google's other patent nobody talks about. They filed it in 2007. Okay, it's really about your friends and your content. How many friends do you have? What kind of friends do you have? I'm sorry, you're going to be judged by your friends. Again, what do they have in common? If your friends are real estate related, then you're more likely to show up for real estate stuff. If your friends are related to cars, then you're more likely to show up for car stuff. Think about that. Your content, how much do you write? What do you write about? Do people like it? Do people share it? Those are going to be some things. Here's what you can do. Okay, the 2 steps, and I'm going to give you something at the end. What you can do is develop your authority. Build your profiles. Facebook and Google are the 2 that I think you should go on for sure. There are a few others. Then build your Rolodex. People used to get hired just for their Rolodex. Your list of people on Facebook, that's your Rolodex. Your list of people in your newsletters, that's your Rolodex. Your iPhone, that's your Rolodex. Build your Rolodex, because those are going to be valuable to you in the future. Curate great content. So curate great content. Now, everybody can do it up to this stage. What do I mean by that? Well, it's what Bruce did. He just wrote about an article. So let's say, I'm sure there's a real estate agent or 2 in the room. If we were all your friends and you wanted to be found for National City Real Estate, then go on your Facebook and your Google page and make a comment about National City Real Estate. Go to your MLS. Every time a new listing comes out, say new National City Real Estate listing, keyword, to learn about the school districts and crime rates, keywords, give me a call. Now somebody types National City crime rates, you as a realtor pops up in their Google circles, and they have no idea. You don't even need a website. Very powerful.
How does that intermingle with Google AdWords?
It's not related to Google AdWords at all.
Will it pop up when you put it in the search?
Google AdWords would show up over it in case that happens. But we're talking about the natural results below that. Okay, create great content. That's the harder part. And then Google authorship. Leverage your identity. Now, here's a new currency. Money can't buy this. If you're trying to get Reggie's ear, like him, share his content, do these things that are social signals. He can't buy this stuff. So these would be the kind of ways that you can kind of guerrilla marketing to get Reggie's ear, for example. Last slide, learn by doing. Fast Home Help is our website. We've created if you want to learn more about this stuff, go to Fast Home Help. We put a little secret doorway at the bottom of the site, and it's only for our friends and family as we tried to promote the site. Promoting this stuff is confusing. There's tons of questions. I'm sorry I didn't have time to take all of the questions today, but we're going to answer a lot of questions on that page. Click on the heart. You'll go through. It will explain to you what Facebook is, how the different elements work, and how they can benefit you. Thank you very much.